Hello and welcome to Midway Gaming. I'm Nick on the set of the comms, of course, just in fronting audio commentary in his own brand of insanity wherever and whenever possible. I can't stop him, we just let it happen. So, we don't do a script on this show, if you're wondering, so if we sound unscripted, that's why. I'm trying to tweak the opening, that's why I'm sounding different every time. I'll get it eventually. But anyways, speaking of get it eventually, Nintendo seems to be desperate to get Palworld, because I don't know if you guys remember, not a week goes by without some level of controversy, and this week it's out of Nintendo. A continuation of their September attempts. I think it was last September or January. I have to check my notes. When they originally went after Palworld. If you don't know Palworld, it's oh god, how do you describe Palworld? It's technically
yes. Just yes.
absolute question of how do you describe Palworld?
How do you describe Palworld? You look at a little child who enjoys Pokemon, and then you just look at a gun and go,
The world of Pokemon without the power of love and friendship.
Yeah,
you know,
without
that's
the idea of love, without the idea of friendship, without the idea of natural, normal loyalty. There is no kindness in this world. You will suffer.
So yeah, let's just go with thematically speaking, Pokemon universe in a more realistic setting. But
Real life Pokemon.
But unfortunately, it seems the jokes of Pokemon comparisons may have actually made it way back to Nintendo because I think, like I said, back in September or January, I can't remember. I'll again check my notes by the end of the stream. Nintendo said that they were suing the developers of Palworld, who, let me just get my notes out so I'm citing their name properly. Forgive me, I do not remember their name. I should have my notes up beforehand, but I'm a dummy and I don't, so oops. Pocket Par. Yeah, I know I'm a bad boy. But so the developers of Palworld insert the frickin' Archer scene. Phrasing. Anyways, the developers of Palworld, Pocket Par, are the ones being sued by Nintendo. Specifically, originally Nintendo claimed that they were in violation of their lawsuits, but they didn't actually specify which lawsuits. So, this week, they actually came out and said which lawsuits. 3 lawsuits specifically, and they're not named, they're just numbered because that's just how lawsuits are. So, oh, by the way, the 2 articles we'll be referencing for this, one from PC Gamer and the other, I believe, from IGN. Yes, IGN will be down in the links below. The one from PC Gamer is the one we're primarily probably going to be citing from for the sake of this stream. It also has the links to the 3 patents if you wish to read legalese. Your funeral, not mine.
Good luck.
So,
good luck.
the specific lawsuits that Nintendo's citing are specific patents, are patent 7545191, patent 7493117, and patent 7528390. What those mean, only a machine truly knows. But yeah, those are the 3 patents that that Nintendo is citing. These patents, interestingly enough, aren't actually that old and are actually quite broad, and we'll get into the specifics of why. But basically, these 3 patents overall basically claim that Nintendo has kind of protection over the concepts of creature catching, and riding mechanics. Which the first one might seem obvious because it's Nintendo, Pokemon. Yeah, the riding mechanics is a bit odd, but the truth is that the reason these might sound a bit new for Pokemon is because these patents themselves are actually pretty new. According to the report by PC Gamer, they themselves actually cite that these patents aren't actually all that old, and were originally filed only back in 2021 during the development of Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I think riding was a mechanic in that game. I haven't played too deeply into it. So, if you're wondering why the riding mechanic is there, that's probably why. But anyways, so yeah, those are the 3 patents Nintendo is citing. And it's not surprising that Pokemon is being sued, or Palworld is being sued by Pokemon Company because, well, Nintendo. Because if you don't know a thing or two about Nintendo, let me fill you in. Nintendo really doesn't like it when you play in their sandbox.
Nintendo not like it. You do not touch our property.
Honestly, you walk into the Nintendo Play box and all you just see is Mario sitting there with a bucket going, Luigi, get the shovel.
No, no, they're sitting in a sandbox, and every time a single grain of sand is taken from the sandbox, it's like $20. $20, please. You so much as step into the sandbox, sand is gonna come out with you. Therefore, you're
Did
$20.
you get the
Please.
shovel? Anyways, but yeah, bad attempts at jokes aside,
The bounty
Nintendo's
hunters.
lawsuit has
So
actually
there
been
will be a part two to
been
this
more
on the event server eventually.
clarified beyond just which patents, though. Specifically, Pokemon Company, or Nintendo, I should say, get off my screen. There's just so many ads.
Do your
Is
job.
actually citing also they
doing my
want
job.
damages, specifically about $66,000
yes.
worth in damages. The reason is that they want about $33,000 to be paid both to them and the Nintendo company separately, them being the Pokemon Company, for damaging these patents for basically having them in the game and continuing to do so beyond a specified date. Now, the funny thing with Japanese law is that an actual IP legal expert or consultant actually came on and actually said kind of the specifics. Now, I won't read the entire article, I'll just paraphrase what they said, but basically, there's a shtick in Japanese law that basically allows you to not directly cite the patent itself. And I'm probably going to butcher this somewhat because, forgive me, I'm not a lawyer, but
Do not speak lawyer.
I'm a business manager, not legal, so go to them.
Speak.
As me, 34 counts, bullshit.
But basically, there's a concept in Japanese law called divisional patents, and basically that means that when you have a patent in the Japanese legal system, it means that you don't actually need the patent itself to cite patent infringement. You can actually cite things around the patent and kind of add things onto the patent that are like close by. So you can kind of amend the patent and basically say, you know, technically that's part of it, and that's part of it, and that's part of it. And that's kind of the case that Nintendo's putting against Palworld here. They're basically taking these three patents and basically amending them somewhat so that it includes things that are in Palworld specifically or just vaguely in terms. Basically, that's kind of what we're talking about here. These are patents that are intentionally very vague, which allows them to create cases through these divisional patents, basically saying, hey, technically that is covered under my patent, therefore you owe me money.
You guys did very well. You guys are amazing.
That's kind of the long and short of it. Again, the
have
lawyer
made this
himself.
first, therefore I get money now.
Promotion.
Well, that's kind of all patents, anyways. Again, I would lead the article. Again, IP attorney Kirk Sigmund, I believe I'm pronouncing his name wrong, or pronouncing his name right, goes over it in much more detail and probably far better wording than I will, but for the sake of brevity and time, we'll just say it that way. But anyways, that's basically what is kind of being leveled against the creators here of Palworld. Funny enough, Palworld themselves kind of indicate that it almost seems like these patents were intentionally, or these amendments were being drawn up prior to the lawsuit. So basically, Nintendo pre-planned to sue Palworld over their creation before the actual lawsuit was played out. And the funniest thing is, Sigmund himself actually expands on his comments, saying that at the end of the day, Nintendo isn't actually making money out of any of this. Like, it's only $66,000 in US money, which is about 5 million Japanese yen if you convert it. And here's the thing. Palworld has made millions, I think, at this point. I don't know the exact figure, but I'm pretty sure it's millions. And the Pokemon Company has
sold
absolutely made millions.
Yeah, like they've
By the
sold
Council
like
and the will of
shit
force,
tons of
I distribute you the
copies.
name.
Yeah, they've definitely made at least a few million off the creation of Palworld. And Nintendo, Pokemon specifically, has absolutely made millions of dollars.
Not
Probably
just
billions, actually.
Billions, billions
Probably
and billions.
Probably
you
billions.
account everything from toys to games to movies to TV series, everything.
Pikachu art.
Everything.
Pikachu Van Gogh art pieces, which they collaborated with. How do I know that? Because I own them.
Costumes, clothing.
But, you know, because of things like this, you know, it is definitely not a shock that these companies have made. Pokemon's made billions. Palworld through the game has made millions. At least Pocket World has. Or, my goodness, what are they called again? Pocket Par. They have definitely made millions off this. So at the end of the day, 66,000 is a drop in the bucket for both these companies. But at the end of the day, as Sigmund himself points out, it's not about the money that Nintendo's seeking. It's about what it all costs. going through IP court is expensive. Going through any court is expensive. We're talking millions of dollars here between experts and attorneys and legal and da-da-da-da-da, and like all the bells and whistles like tied to these lawsuits. We are talking millions of dollars just in the process. So the 66,000 almost seems like a precedent for or not a precedent. It's almost like an excuse for Nintendo to go after them. They're not doing this for the money. Nintendo doesn't need 66,000. They make that every week.
Money, therefore we can do this.
Pretty much. This isn't about the money for Nintendo. This isn't like they're seeking literal financial compensation. I mean, they say they are, but at the end of the day, that's a drop in the bucket for them. They're not seeking financial compensation. They are just seeking to do this out of spite. Because, like I said, they gain nothing out of this. Like I said, Sigmund himself points out, this is literally burning millions for Nintendo just to bring up this case. It is costing them way more than it will make them in return.
At the very end of the day, no matter what, this case is going to be a full display of
Nintendo's pettiness.
Well, yes. Yes. But it's also gonna go and like show what's gonna happen next moving forward, because if this passes, it sets such a goddamn high and dangerous precedent, not only for mostly Nintendo, but any other big company like Disney and all that. So
well, that's the thing.
That's a big thing there. But then, if it doesn't pass, then this is gonna likely backfire on Nintendo, because at what point is this gonna start being seen as like a form of harassment from Nintendo if they keep doing this?
I think you're verging into a whole other lawsuit there.
I know, but like there's a likelihood of that kind of thing potentially happening down the line if this continues, and Nintendo basically being told to go out the door.
Possibly, but I arguably would say that it really doesn't set much of a precedent at all, because here's the thing, right? Nintendo is known for this. They are famously protective of their IPs. They are basically the Disney of the video games industry. Play in the sandbox, be prepared to get hurt. But, you know, it's not surprising for them. And you also have to remember the whole precedent by which this or the whole reason pretty much by which this exists is pretty much due to just a weird quirk in Japanese IP law. Like, that's pretty much it. And since Nintendo and Pokemon are a Japanese-based company, they can do this. But Disney, Activision, Ubisoft, just name a company. They are not, for the most part, based in Japan. I mean, Sony and stuff are, but I mean, Sony gonna sue you over the purchase of a TV? Plus, I don't think they're that protective. And honestly, suing someone over a concept for a TV design these days seems extremely archaic.
Like, that's the big thing, is they kind of have control over like Venom and Spider-Man, and that's about it. And
Which is funny you should mention Venom, because one of the other stories I was debating about today was that the actor who played Venom in the newest Spider-Man also passed away recently. No!
Which guy?
Rip.
Who was it?
I don't remember his name. I'll have to dig it up, but that was going to possibly be our other topic, but I said...
I didn't hear about that recently, so...
No, you gotta look it up. That's like one of the trending news. I think it happened in the last week or so, last few days, but rest in peace to him, whose name I cannot remember. Sorry, I don't know.
Apologies, Mr. Actor, we cannot remember you, but you have made work, therefore we will.
But, yeah, rest in peace to him, and hope his family as well. But back on the topic of the thing, again, it really is not really a precedent, because like I said, it's pretty much just Nintendo leveraging a weird quirk in Japanese IP law. Yeah. So,
like, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, this is basically Japanese lawsuit type shit. So we're gonna have to see where all that shit goes.
And worst case, and I mean, there's even a very easy way out for Palworld. And the article, again, from PC Gamer kind of concludes in this. And basically, if Palworld can make a reasonable claim, much like the rest of us are in this kind of case, that Nintendo's patents are intentionally far too vague to claim individual ownership over a specific individual idea, then the entire lawsuit goes out the window. Because like I said, as long as Nintendo can prove they actually do have the ability to say we own this, that's where they can keep their lawsuit. But by that same token, if they can easily be proven that they can't, which considering how vague their patents tend to be, because Nintendo, then, you know, the whole lawsuit goes out the window. This whole thing gets thrown out of court. So, well, I should say they just get proven wrong. I don't think it'll get thrown out, but it might. Again, not a lawyer,
It might,
but
like, it depends on very specific
What?
circumstances.
Server
Primarily,
case.
if the court can reasonably, like, see that okay, there's some level of justifiable reasoning behind this, but you are still gonna
Yeah.
have to articulate it, then
One they will
Yeah.
have engineering.
yeah. Again, judging by just
Okay, there you go.
I think the moral of the story here is that this is definitely just Nintendo trying to get a pound of flesh, if you'll pardon the term. This is, I don't want to use the term malicious, but it is that. It's just
It is
Nintendo being
basically
malicious.
malicious.
It
It's
is Nintendo
malicious,
being
but with
malicious.
extra steps.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I don't think this is something that you can settle out of court because Nintendo is going through this whole process purely to make the developers hurt out of principle. This is not something they're seeking money on. They just want to make pain.
They just
So,
wanna watch other people suffer.
which again is so very like Nintendo. They've been doing this ever since the bloody N64 days. So, what are you gonna do? But anyways, so yeah, that's the most recent information we have about Palworld and stuff like that. Hopefully that goes well for the developers of Palworld. I mean, the game is so unhinged, but I don't know. I can't really side with Nintendo here just out of principle because, like I said, we know how Nintendo operates. They shut down anything that even smells remotely in their sandbox. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. So, we'll see. We'll see. What do you think, Justin? Well, you already said your president piece.
I kind of already said my piece, but I mean,
But, yeah.
if no matter what, I see this as the okay. At what point is Nintendo gonna like finally go after all the little guys who are like smaller than Small Bean compared to Palworld?
Yeah. Haven't they already done that? No, maybe.
Kind of, but like it's hard for them depending on certain circumstances.
But yeah, that would be just another day of Nintendo being Nintendo. Another wonderful day in the world of video gaming. So that's this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the algorithm works. And yeah, see you all next week. Have a good week, everybody.